When it comes to your health, you want answers, right? Straightforward, no-nonsense answers. Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. We're breaking down emergency contraception, what it is, how it works, and just as importantly, what it isn't, so you have the real facts when you need them the most.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll start with the absolute basics. What even is emergency contraception? Then we'll dive into the two main options you have, the pill and the copper IUD, including the nitty-gritty on how to use them. And we'll wrap things up by tackling some really crucial myths about what EC doesn't do. It's all laid out for you.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. We're going right back to the beginning to answer that fundamental question: what exactly is emergency contraception? You've probably heard the term thrown around, right? But the specifics can sometimes feel a little fuzzy. So let's clear all that up right now and get a simple, direct definition. Think of it this way. It's your backup plan. It's for those oops moments. It is not meant to be your regular go-to form of birth control. Instead, it's a safe and effective option to prevent pregnancy after sex when something's gone wrong. It's basically a second chance. And just so you know where all this is coming from, all the information we're covering today is based on materials from the Federation of Reproductive Health Associations in Malaysia. We're sticking to the facts from the experts. Okay, moving on to Section 2. Now we're going to talk about the option most people know, the most common form of emergency contraception, the pill, also known as an ECP. So you might be wondering, how in the world does a pill you take after sex actually prevent a pregnancy from happening? Well, it's actually a pretty clever bit of biology. Here's the main thing it does. The pill's number one job is to stop your ovary from releasing an egg in the first place. I mean, if there's no egg for sperm to meet, pregnancy just can't happen. It's kind of like hitting the pause button on ovulation for a little while. And that's not all it does. It has a plan B, so to speak. The hormones can also thicken your cervical mucus, which basically creates this biological roadblock. It makes it way, way harder for sperm to swim through to get to an egg if one was already released. Okay, but does it work? Let's talk numbers, because this is the important part. ECPs can be up to 98.5% effective if you take them within 72 hours or 3 days. But here's the real key. It's most effective in that first 24-hour window. This is one of those situations where sooner is definitely better. Now, let's be real. Like with any medication, there can be some side effects. The most common one is feeling a bit nauseous. Some people might also feel tired or have some breast tenderness. Oh, and it's totally normal for your next period to show up a little early or late. But the good news is, these things are usually pretty mild and they don't last long. Okay, on to Section 3. We know what the pills are and how they work. So now let's get practical. How do you actually use them correctly? Okay, this right here, this is probably the most important thing to remember. You have a window of up to 120 hours, that's 5 whole days, to take the pill. But look at how that effectiveness changes. It's highest right at the beginning and then it drops off. The message couldn't be clearer. Take it as soon as you possibly can. So you might find some brands of ECPs come in a 2-dose pack. The process is really simple. Take the first pill as soon as you can. But then, and this is the crucial part, you have to remember to take that second pill exactly 12 hours later. Seriously, set an alarm on your phone for this. It's that important. Now, to make things even easier, a lot of the newer ECPs, and this is the method the World Health Organization recommends, come as a single pill. It's a slightly higher dose, and you just take the one pill within that 5-day window, and that's it. You're done. So we've talked a lot about the pill, but what if I told you there's another option, one that's actually even more effective? In Section 4, we're going to look at the copper IUD. Just let that number sink in for a second. Over 99% effective. The copper IUD is, hands down, the most effective form of emergency contraception out there. A doctor or nurse can insert it up to 5 days after unprotected sex. And here's the amazing bonus. It can stay in and work as a super effective long-term birth control method for years. So let's put them head to head, shall we? This chart makes the differences super clear. You can see the IUD has that edge in effectiveness. And it works differently too. The copper itself basically makes the environment toxic to sperm so it can't fertilize an egg. But the biggest difference in practice, that long-term use. And I've got to say this again because it's so important. Neither of these protect you from sexually transmitted infections. Zero protection. All right, our last section, and honestly, this might be the most important one because we need it to clear the air. We have to be just as clear about what emergency contraception doesn't do and bust some major myths. This is it. This is probably the biggest, most emotionally charged question out there, and it deserves a very, very clear answer. And the answer is a clear, absolute no. Emergency contraception is not the abortion pill. They are not the same thing. All of its actions are about preventing a pregnancy from ever starting in the first place. If you are already pregnant, taking EC will not harm or end that pregnancy.
So let's just hammer this home. Remember these three things. EC is not for regular use. It's a backup plan. It is not protection against STIs like HIV or anything else. And this is a big one. Taking it once does not protect you for the rest of your cycle. It's a one-time fix for one specific moment.
And look, don't just take my word for it. The experts who provided this information say it best. Taking it over and over can really mess with your cycle. And bottom line, it's just not as effective as using a proper, regular form of birth control. So that brings us to our final thought for you. Knowing what to do in an emergency is really empowering, but the best next step is to be proactive. Why not take this knowledge and talk to a doctor or a nurse about finding a regular birth control plan that actually fits your life? It can give you peace of mind and put you in control for the long term.